Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to World of Warcraft Classic. I am the Red Menace, and I am currently setting up the interface for all my characters now that I've reached level 10, technically 11. So I'm working on my priest here. And as you can see, we've got quite a few more spells. Now this priest, I plan on making a shadow priest, because I've got a druid healer in my party as well. But we're still going to want to be able to do things like use, power word fortitude and power word shield, things of that nature. So you can see I've got some macros left over from my other characters. So we'll go ahead and use those, but as you can see, this macro is power word fortitude P. P stands for player. So down here you see that I've inserted into my macro the player here for the targeted unit. And then it's simple cast power word fortitude. Now we want to open up our Discord action bars. And we want to go to change actions. Now we've got our first attack spell here at action 10. And then we've got our first heal spell here at action 30. What I think I'll do is start with this macro, which is power word fortitude party 3. I just realized I don't have a party 4. I'll have to make that macro. Yeah, I can copy one of these macros over to that spot, that tab, and make a party 4 macro. But we'll just start out doing this. And actually what we can do is we can edit this one. I don't know why that's HW. Maybe that was just a typo that went unnoticed. So power word, that's going to be party 4. Missing the F. Then all we need to do here is replace pet 1 with party 4, or with 4. And then we'll go ahead and drag that there. Yeah. Now this player doesn't have a drink macro. Because I've got a mage in my group, I would like to have had the drink be something other than this refreshing spring water. But that's okay. We'll go ahead and close my inventory. Now the key I want to edit is the V key. So we'll click Show Button IDs, and that shows us that it's button 4. And as you can see, the conditions are just one simple one, which is at any time set action to wait. So, I mean, technically it's no condition, set action to wait. But that basically what that does is it has this always set to wait. But we don't want that. So we're going to start out with buff inactive on me, and the buff is going to be, I shouldn't have closed that, but the buff is going to be power word fortitude, so we will just copy paste that into the buff name. And our action is going to be set action to power word fortitude player slot or action 25. So we'll just go ahead and add that in there. And actually, let's add a mana lost on the player. And I have 500 macro. So if mana lost is greater than, let's make it 250, which will be half his mana, approximately half. And we're going to set action to refreshing spring water. We'll go ahead and put that on the top. Now we want another conditional for that mana lost one, and it's going to be the in combat. And we're going to have no response. We're just going to add that as a non-button changing or action changing conditional. And basically its single purpose is to prevent this from happening when the player's in combat. So if the mana loss of player is greater than 250, set action to refreshing spring water, unless, which is basically what this override means, condition 1 is true. Condition 1 is in combat. So this won't happen if I'm in combat. And I want to add another conditional, which is going to be a buff active conditional on player, and this is going to be a drink buff. We're going to have no response. We're going to add that conditional. And similarly to the in combat, this condition's sole purpose is to prevent this from becoming true if the drink buff is active. The drink buff, the drink buff becomes active whenever you drink. You'll have a little buff on you that says drink, restore so much mana per second for so long. And this just means that I can spam the V button and this character will only drink once. So that when I'm multiboxing, and this character is just following my main character around, I can spam the V button and that will ensure that all my characters drink one drink, rather than 3 or 4. So that way, if, say, my mage doesn't, for some reason, the drink key isn't active when I press it the first time, maybe they are just coming out of combat, the second or third time I hit it, it'll drink, and then all my characters will be drinking. Basically, you just press the V button until you see on your screen that all your characters are drinking, and then you stop. So that one, those are the only conditionals we'll want with that one. Now for the buff active, I don't want those to be active unless I have so many party members. So if we go to party members and we make it equal to 0, we want the response no response, so the button won't change. But what we'll do is we'll set that one there. Now it's fine if I want to buff myself. We just want that one overridden by 3. But for my next macro, which is going to be buff inactive on party 1, the buff name is going to be Power Word Fortitude. We are going to set the action to condition 26, and we'll just add that conditional in. And then we're going to go with buff inactive once more, this time on party 2. Buff name Power Word Fortitude. Again, I'm just pasting that because I had copied it from earlier. Choose response is going to be to set the action to action 27. And we'll just add that conditional in. Okay, apparently I didn't click it properly. So we're just going to do this now for the remaining 2 party members. Same exact thing. Make sure you're selecting buff inactive, not buff active, or debuff inactive or active. If your button's not working properly, that's one thing you definitely want to check. Make sure you didn't accidentally put in buff active, since they look so similar. And now for the final one. So we got all 4 of those set up. And it's good to just look through it and make sure. So that says player, that's P, that's party 1, that's P1, that's party 2, that's P2, that's party 3, that's P3, that's party 4, that's P4. The last thing you want is to set this up and then go into an instance and have it not working when you need it to. So we're working on this first one here. So we want it to be overridden by that one, number 4, and number 5. And then if we hit edit on that one again and go to the next one, it will carry over our override numbers. So we'll just add a 6 to that. And we'll just do the same thing, working our way down, because all of these need to be overridden by the one before it. If you don't do that, then the button ends up constantly switching back and forth if 2 of the same conditionals are true. So if none of my party had Power Word Fortitude, and I didn't, if I just had 3, 4, 5 here on each of these, then it would constantly just switch back and forth. You'd see the button kind of going crazy as it tried to make all 4 of those conditions true at the same time. So that will buff up our party. And then last but not least, our no condition. Now with this one, you only need to override those conditions with a set action. So 3 yes, 4 yes, 5 we need to remove. And then 6, 7, 8, and finally 9. So, as you can see, once I complete the macro, put in all my overrides, the button immediately switched to Power Word Fortitude player. Now we'll go ahead and we'll close that, and we'll just test the button out. As you can see, I'm in a party, so technically my conditional here is party members is greater than 0, so it's not overridden. If I were to leave the party, then that would go away and it would stop trying to cast Power Word Fortitude. When I do my healing macro, which... Well, since I'm a Shadow Priest, I don't really need to do that. I could add in Renew. But I'm going to have to take it out once I get Shadow form. Of course, I could just go partial Shadow. Because Shadow form, I could go a 30 build and not go with Shadow form. And of course, it's 15% of shadow damage. Hey, that's nice. And the Druid healer is pretty good. Might not need the extra heals. Hey! Dogs. Okay, I'm gonna have to pause the video and come back to you because the dogs are needing to be fed. Okay.